Hey folks, it is time for TWiP Pro Photo Critique number 135. This is TWiP. Hey, welcome back to another TWiP Pro Photo Critique. This is critique number 135. This week's topic was joy. And, I'm curious to see what was put in there, Troy Miller, because 2020 is particularly these last couple of months have not been very joyful, right? There's some sparks of joy in there. What do you think? Did the community come through with some joyous shots?
They did. Yeah, they really did. And it's funny, this last couple of weeks I reached out to a bunch of friends and people that I haven't seen in a long time, asking them how they're doing. And I was really surprised that a lot of them are like, I know a lot of people have suffered, but this has been great for us. The wife is working from home now. The kids are, we've had so much time with the kids or just being together, and it's been really wonderful. And it really changed our trajectory on, what's important. Yeah. I was happy to hear that. That's good.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that it took a pandemic level global catastrophe to bring families closer together. But yeah, I agree, because, I would echo that same sentiment. I think for folks like us, I argue a lot of the people that are in the chat and that are watching this after we stream/record it, there's been this movement that I've been tracking of people moving into the whole work from home kind of modality, right, versus the 9 to 5 or the 7:30 I'm in traffic, meeting at 9 o'clock, and then meeting all day, break lunch, meeting, then break, go home, traffic again, spend 10 minutes with the kid, and then rinse and repeat. I think that nothing wrong with that, because I did that for a couple of decades, but
right,
that modality can wear thin and you start looking at this holy grail of doing other things. So yeah, it's interesting. I think a lot of the people that are in the photography world or creative world tend to be solopreneurial, and do things for themselves and kind of their own business owners, like wedding photographers and podcasters and other regular, other kinds of photographers. But it's interesting. It's interesting to see this forced change, right? Because part of that forced change was the rapid adoption of conferencing technologies like Zoom and Skype and et cetera. So now it's holy crap, we can actually I can remote work remotely, and CEOs are probably like, you know what? We got more done last month than we did last month, or this month last year. Maybe there's something to this. And I can hire people from, Nigeria and Scandinavia, I'm not geographically bound to my talent pool anymore. So,
I think there's also this idea that if you commuted or you drove distances every day, when you take a 30, 45, 60, 90-day break from having to drive those distances, suddenly you realize just how far that distance was and how much time it consumed from your personal life, right? Like Kira was driving to LA pre-pandemic. She was driving to LA, which was 50 miles one way, which was over an hour and 20 minutes. So every day she spent 3 hours driving. Every day, really? 3 hours driving.
3 hours, yeah.
And you do what you have to do, right? That's business. That's just putting your time in. But when that no longer has to happen, you're like, oh my God, this drive is so long. 50 miles. This is it. I can't even make it, one way. Because you don't have that sort of endurance anymore. So
and it really takes you got to not be just like, okay, I'm in traffic. I hate that guy. He's on his phone. And look at her. She's doing makeup. And why is this person in front of me not going as fast as the lanes around us? Why do I always get behind these people? You just, you build up all that. And then you get out and you got to go and bring all that stress into meetings with you and all that.
Right.
What I was doing, my move was to, that's where I think I discovered podcasts and audiobooks and all that. It was in that window of time where it's like, I need to use this time productively, even though like that particular time when I was like hitting that fever pitch of crap, this is crazy, was I was working at Apple at the time, and my house was in West San Jose, which was, maybe 6 miles from Apple campus. So it wasn't, but I had to get on the 280, so there was always traffic, and it would literally, to go 6 miles from my house to the parking lot at Apple would take me probably about 35 minutes, maybe, around there, because there's traffic from the house just getting to the highway. That's like 10, 15 minutes. Then you get on the highway, it's bumper to bumper. That's another 10, 15 minutes. You get off and there's bumper to bumper to get to the parking lot. And then you got to find a parking space and then you got to walk in. So, yeah, you're traumatizing me. You're bringing me back.
I rarely have traffic from my bedroom to my office.
Yeah,
rarely.
Yeah,
sometimes there's a cat
and sweatpants, right?
And sweatpants.
That's what we do. Oh man, I love it. Yeah, it's interesting because my big brother, he is a contractor. He does all this, stuff I don't understand that involves computers and zeros and ones and stuff. But he works in downtown Chicago and lived in the suburbs, which is like an hour plus outside. So he was taking, drive to the train station, get on the train downtown, then walk to the office and elevator up to the floor. Now you're in your office. It was that flow. They've obviously switched to work from home. And now he's like, this is great. How come I didn't do this before? I get more work done and I'm remote. We do all our meetings. He's meeting with people in India and, the UK all the time. And it's all, like this, so.
Yeah.
It's a
that's
whole
great.
new world. All right. Before I break into my Frozen soundtrack, let's dive into the critique. You ready?
All right. God.
Yeah, Ginger Bearding says I get so much more done at home. Yeah, totally. Especially if you have a routine. It is, lock it down to a routine. You're working towards a goal, ticking things off your list. I do this. I have one of these that I write every night. You can't see what's on it, but I write a yellow sticky every night when I'm ready to shut down and leave my office, and I put it on the computer. So the next morning, when I come sit down with my coffee, I just do this. I'm like, okay, what are the things I need to get done today in order to call myself a useful human? And then I just tick them off the list. And at the end of the day, if I can ball that yellow sticky and throw it in the garbage, I did something. And I feel good. I feel good about, having a glass of wine.
You said yellow sticky. I got to show you before we start.
Oh, okay.
So I turned my yellow stickies into art.
Oh, leave it alone.
See these? I built 3 of these, and they sit over there. And anytime I have a sticky note that I want to throw away, I put it in here.
Wow. That looks like popcorn.
I know. But here's the cool thing is if you dig deep into the sticky art, you can pull out a sticky note from, I don't know, they're not dated, right? Oh, this one's got a lot of tears in it. So let's see if I can even see what it says. Then you can go back and you can look at what your sticky note said.
That's not bad. I like that.
Oh, look, it says, time machine cannot back up my tower. Is that okay? Oh, that was from Margie in, I dated that one 2011. I just said I don't date them. But so I have that sticky note in here and I have 3 of these. So
that's almost like a random fortune cookie journal diary.
Yeah. Well, it's so crazy because it's like a time capsule. You make these sticky notes like what you do and you just throw them away. But if you save them, better yet, if you can date them, you can go through and pick them out and be like, oh my gosh, I remember when I was working on that project.
Yeah.
I have a philosophy that if we can remember more of the stuff that we do, the long or the more fulfilling the time in the gaps feels, and time tends to travel more slowly when we recollect. So
I think so, yeah, because you tend to, like, my brain tends to be just blinders, can't change the past. Let's work forward and drill on the future and learn from that stuff and execute it and use that knowledge on that. Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense. I'm gonna have to get me a waste paper basket for my yellow stickies like that exclusively. I like that.
Right. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. You could get little flower pots in the back there in front of your photos, and
yeah, maybe that'll be a segment on the show. Let's reach into the pile of stickies and see what Frederick was.
Ooh.
Make that a segment.
I should build ceramic sticky note holders. That's what I should build.
I just had an epiphany. I wish I had do I have a sound effect that I can have an epiphany?
Don't do it.
Wait,
Don't do it.
Wait. Okay, here you go. I have an epiphany.
Oh, man.
What if you just sit down, or we sit down, and create like 300 random topics and ball them all up and put them in a bucket or something, and then do a show, not a critique show, but do a show where we're like, okay, it's time for our random topic. Let's reach into the thing. Okay, today's word is, back up, or today's word is boca, or something. That'd be interesting.
that would be amazing. Yeah, that would be amazing. And we should take suggestions from the community, serious and some not so serious, right? Yeah. Like today we're gonna talk about cupcakes. What do we know?
I like that. Yeah, that's almost like improv, right? Where, okay, the topic is this. You guys have to vamp on it and give constructive criticism on this topic for 30 minutes.
I'm making notes. See, I'm making notes.
Yeah, see, and the time is inception, because future Troy is going to pull that out of the bucket and be like, wait, we talked about and now we're doing it.
Yeah. Well, I have ceramics tonight, so after we talked last week, I tried to make those whiskey cups. Yeah, there's a name for them.
The sniffers.
Yeah, that's going to be a little harder than I thought, because they need to be very delicate and very, very thin, and they.
Okay, I'll retract that. I'll retract that request, since clearly you're incapable of doing that. But
ouch!
How about a sake set? Make a black and red.
No, that's not even.
That's easy, right? They're just little ceramic cups. You can do that.
Easy. I want hard. Sake is like what you do in your first year of ceramics. Like, I'm in year 3.
You just said you couldn't do it. I'm just saying.
I didn't. I said it was difficult.
Audience, you see that? You see how I'm doing the Jedi mind trick on? All right, man. Let's dive in.
Okay.
Before people just start revolting. Do the damn critique. Do the damn critique. All right. I'm bringing up. Let's go ahead and share. I just want to share Google Chrome. Oh, because I got 2 windows going. That's why it's doing that. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let's just bring this back here. And then I will tabize that guy. And then go here. Sorry, folks. And then here we go. There we go. So that's good to know, Troy. So if you have multiple windows open and you just share an application, Ecamm Live doesn't allow you to specify a particular tab to share. It just shares that application. If you have multiple windows open for that application, it shares both of them and creates a rectangle around the sum total of both of those windows, and you can't specify which window to share. So,
that's interesting.
Yeah. So right now I had to put because right here at the top you can see I have the Twitch mod view in here. So like you can see here's a tab with the Twitch mod view, and then over here I have us. So
yeah,
there we go.
Yeah, for the community, for the chat, Frederick is using a new Ecamm beta, which allows you to bring in a guest, which is pretty freaking cool. So that's what, it's a little bit different than what we're used to using.
Yeah, which is why the screen share looks a little bit different. than it normally looks. Can I share that just real quick to show people what it looks like?
You mean the whole Ecamm layout?
Demo mode. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
Turn on live demo mode. There we go. Well, maybe. Can you guys see that? You can't see that.
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah.
Can you see my whole desktop?
Yep.
That's interesting because I'm not sure. Okay. Yeah. So this is what my desktop looks like. You can see over there, over here are the sources.
That way? No, it's this way.
It's over there, yeah. Are the sources. Troy, me. I can bring up to 4 additional people in here with me right now. I only have 1 additional person, obviously. And then off to the left there, you can see all the scenes that I've set up over here. So I've got scenes without titles and then identical scenes that have the titles on them. So if I'm doing a show and I want to have the titles fly in, I could do that. Then I've got my slates for starting now or stream starting, which you saw at the beginning of this one, and then stream over is right there. And then these are the screen shares. So just a screen, which is what you're looking at. We're actually on this scene on the left that says screen right now. And then right below it is screen picture in a picture. So if I pull that one up, it'll show this scene of my desktop or my browser with my camera in the lower left corner. I cannot figure out yet, Troy, how to do multiple people in a picture. So I want to have, like for this one, I was trying to build it last night where I have you, or I have the screen share and then my thumbnail video and your thumbnail video in it. Built as a scene. So you'll have to show me that after. Show me that after we do this.
Whether the scene saves it or not, I know you can do it. We've played with it, so yeah, we'll have to play
I remember we did it. I could not get back there for maybe it was the Jack Daniels or something. So anyway, that's Ecamm Live. This is the Ecamm Live beta that we're using right now. It's pretty fantastic because before, let me just bring this back up. Before the flow was Ecamm, which is kind of like if you're familiar with Twitch and OBS and Streamlabs and all that, it's the equivalent on the Mac to, or it's analogous to OBS on the PC. The flow was you run Ecamm and then you build your scenes out and then you run Skype and turn on its NDI feature, which lets Ecamm see the video feeds from Skype. So if you have multiple guests in there, you can bring in each guest as its own scene and then click and switch to those people and stream that out. That's what I've been doing for hundreds of episodes. Ecamm revved and basically brought that feature in to the app. So now I only have to run one app to do a live stream. So I'm running Ecamm. It's bringing my guest in, that guy off to my left there. So it's bringing that guy in. I can bring in multiple other people. I can do live call-in shows where they say, hey, come join us on the show. And I could bring you into the feed just like that without all the tap dancing of Skype and what's your Skype ID and this and all that nonsense.
Yeah, no login.
Yeah, it's just a link. I send you a link. You click the link. You get a preview of what you look like. You fix your hair, check your mic, join the stream, and I can admit you, and you're in. It's just like that. So it's pretty slick, pretty state of the art.
Yeah, this solves one of the things that I really wanted to do with the Twitch streams was the ability to very quickly bring in a guest, just ad hoc. Right, like just out of the blue without having to have this complicated scene set up and log in, and Ecamm has pretty much solved that. So that's pretty cool. Yep.
And it's in beta now. They're still polishing edges on it, but like I said before, Ecamm, those guys, their beta is like most people's version 2. So
it is.
It's pretty solid. So when there are a couple of rough edges in there, but nothing that's egregious and a showstopper.
No.
All right. Speaking of stopping the show, let's go back into the critique.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I'm going to go. Yeah, we could vamp forever on this. So I'm in the TWiP Pro community, people. I am in the topic area, and this here topic that we're talking about this week is photo critique. These are the submissions. I'm going to sort this by the date created. Speaking of that, there's your post right there.
Yay!
Troy Miller. All right. First up, how many do we have in here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 10. Okay, cool. All right. First up is Stephen Scharf. Stephen Sharp. Stephen Sharp. Ringo roll. Ringo does his daily joyful roll in the dirt. iPhone 6S photo edited in Photoshop in Skyloom and tonality. Let's bring this up. Look at
that. Is so good. I love that. Anybody who is a cat lover, right, who has cats, you immediately know the joy that cat is having rolling in the dirt and the headache that's going to cause when he goes inside.
Exactly. Because they don't care. Because he'll do that and then he'll just go curl up on the couch. Right.
Right.
What? What are you talking about? What's the problem?
Right. No, it's absolutely wonderful. And I just love that. I think that the corners are a little bit overburned. The vignette is a little heavy because I can see it, depending on what application was used. But I love the square composition, and I think that is just so fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I know Ringo. I've met Ringo in person.
I haven't met Ringo yet. I feel like I've met Ringo because I've seen a lot of pictures of Ringo, and I've seen him in the mixers.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know how I feel. He definitely captured the essence of this critique, which was joy. This is clearly joy, right? I don't know how I feel about. I know we are at odds on borders and key lines, so I don't know in this situation, especially with the curb right there. I don't know if it's necessary to border this and trap the cat in the middle like that. I don't know. I think it's 110% subjective at the end of the day. I don't know.
I just want to point out, I never bring up the borders in conversation other than I like them or I don't like them.
Yes,
you're always chatting borders. I know.
I have a problem.
You're struggling with borders.
Yeah, there's a little Troy Miller, man. There is literally a little Troy Miller sitting on my shoulder when I'm editing photos, and he's like, "Yeah, you should put a border on that.
Put a border.
You need to trap the image. The image is escaping off the sides of the frame. You need a border on that, Frederick, and a key line. Come on, put it in." And I'm like, "No, I'm not putting a border on this shot."
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Oh man. Hey, Roaming Wrangler. That's TA. Thomas Aaron is in it. Hey, Thomas, we were talking about you earlier, man. To say your ears are probably burning with us talking about in the zombie apocalypse when we have to rebuild society, you will be the hunter gatherer for the commune.
Yeah.
All right. Let's step out of this one. What did I do here?
And just, talking about borders, I fixed my image, as you can see. I fixed it.
Oh, wait. Let me see this. Wait. Oh, God.
Ta-da!
Yeah, because why have a 1080 stream when you're going to just throw away 10% of the pixels? I could just be doing 720.
I don't know. I have a border. I can return it right. Where is it at? Right there. I can't do the mime thing, but there it is. But I can turn it off just for you.
No, keep your border. I am not, this is your borders are your choice, It's like my body, my choice, your borders, your choice.
No. You know what? It would completely screw up this visual of you and I side by side right now, and I can't have that. That's
unless I had one.
Right.
You could build an overlay and send me an overlay that I can use for the critiques that's bordering both of us. Don't do that, please. Don't do that.
No.
All right. Thank you, Ringo, for lending your beautiful catness to the shot. And also thank you for dirtying up Stephen Sharp's house with your rolling around.
Great
All
shot,
right.
Steven.
Next up is Armando Brook. Armando says the gay parade in Sao Paulo, almost 2 million people. He shot it with his Nikon.
Wow.
2 million. Clearly, Troy Miller, this is pre-pandemic. So
maybe. Who knows?
I'm hoping, please, Armando, tell us this was pre-pandemic, because if not, there's a sizable portion of these people that are probably not feeling too good. Or will not be feeling too good. What do you think of the shot? What do you think of the use of the fisheye in this shot? I'm not going to mention the border. I'm not going to mention the border or the red key line. on this photo.
That's great, and I won't mention the fact that I think it's nice. I think it's a nice ad. I do love the composition. I think that had that light pole been somewhere else in the scene, right? Like been off to the left or off to the right, it might not have worked as well. But I love the fact that we have this juxtaposition where we have all the people at the bottom and they're kind of curved, so it feels like it's a bowl, right? Like it's just full of people, which is great. Yeah. Yep. And then you got those humans, and then you've got that light pole in the middle, and then you got the parade sign right at the top. So it really just shows off this event. Amazing photojournalistic image. I mean, right away what we're looking at.
Absolutely, and I like the way that he popped the colors just to kind of sell that this is a parade kind of celebration atmosphere, and those reds are really popping out there. What do you I'm curious. So when I looked at this initially, I'm wondering what you think about fisheye lens usage, not just ultra wide angle that are rectilinear or whatever, but the distorted effect that you get from fisheye lenses. Clearly he used it appropriately here, but what are other ways that you would throw out to the viewers and listeners that are looking for ways to use fisheye lenses without being kitschy?
I love fisheye lenses, by the way. It's one of my second most used lenses on my wedding days. So one, with a fisheye, if you can keep the horizon in the center and keep the camera level, you get a flat horizon and it won't feel like a fisheye. So you can actually shoot really wide angle, crop the edges a little bit, and now you've got like a mega wide angle lens. So you can just use it like that. The other thing is to get into that space that a lot of photographers are afraid to encroach on with people. Especially with people. I feel like everybody kind of has a space bubble, and with a fisheye or a really ultra wide angle lens, you have to be inside that space bubble, and then there's a trust. So doing portraits with it, having people hold objects or getting things really close to the foreground really accentuates them. Could be a foot or a hand or a face or a cup, and really just show that off.
Yeah.
And just helps you to see differently, right? It really does help you to see differently because it's a very unnatural viewing angle. We don't get to see with our eyes.
Yeah, for humans.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree with that 100%. And I wonder why we don't see more fisheye shots except for like 360 shots that are done with like an Insta 360 1X or something. But you look at the prices of these fisheye lenses; they ain't cheap. These fisheye glass is not cheap. Do you own one of these for your Nikon?
I have 3. Yeah, I have 3 different fisheyes.
Of course you do. Of course.
Yeah, I think fisheye's amazing, and I will tell you one of the reasons that I got into shooting fisheye was because nobody else was using fisheye, and I thought I want to figure out how to make a fisheye look amazing in a wedding environment, because most people shy away from them because they've only seen distorted images, kind of like overused HDR. If you're tired of seeing crunchy HDR, well, then you're just like, I'm not going to do HDR. But HDR doesn't have to look like that, right? Like you can use it. And so with fisheye, that was my goal. So I use it to show off the rings. I use it to show off, super, super wide perspectives and accent something in the foreground. Maybe a ring bearer in the foreground, wedding party in the background, right? Ring bearer looks huge and the wedding party looks tiny, but they're only like 3 feet apart.
Yeah, that's cool.
Stuff like
that's
that.
Cool. Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head. It's like, you're using fisheye because no one else is. That's the artist in you. It's like, okay, what can I do that's not on the rails? Everyone else is on the rails and playing follow the leader. How, and Troy Miller is off in the pasture doing something else on the other side.
Lighting fires. Yeah.
Lighting fires, building pots, throwing yellow stickies in them.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
Yep, cool. Excellent shot, Armando. Thank you. All right. Next up is Eric Pronsky. That's nice. Eric says, Connie, our Irish friend, sharing a happy moment on top of a castle in Western Ireland.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, that is
I love
cool
that.
shot. God, I want to be on that castle. I want that castle.
Yeah. That wall is older than some nations, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I really love the nature of this shot. I tend to not like hands coming at the camera, like his right hand. So I really kind of struggle with that type of pose. Because it foreshortens the arm and it feels a little bit unnatural, but because of the big smile and because of the kick of the right foot, it feels very candid. And that makes it all work. If his foot was down and his expression was a little bit more serious, then that right hand would be an issue for me. I would critique that. Yeah. But just the expressive moment of this is really fantastic, mostly because of the body language.
Yeah, I agree. It's a really good portrait. I like the cropping and the sort of symmetry of him in that nook there, and kind of is chilling and hanging out. It's a really good personality study. I was going to throw at you though, as a portrait photographer, looking at this shot. I know from portrait photography training and shooting that overcast days like this are excellent for the most part for portrait photography. Would you care to explain why, Troy Miller? Why are overcast skies good for portraits versus bright sunny? Because you would think, if you're a new photographer, or relatively new photographer, or someone coming into portraiture, the genre for the first time, you would think that, hey, bright, sunshiny California day is the perfect time to be out there on the beach taking photos, right? Baywatch, of course, that's what you want to do, but not so much. What do you say to that?
No, and I'll add that, clients oftentimes, especially brides, get really bummed out that they have an overcast day, right? Because they see beautiful sunny days as the perfect day. Overcast days are just one big giant softbox. Yeah. And you don't have harsh shadows and you don't have harsh directional light. And the other thing too is it allows you to shoot anywhere you want pretty much. So bright sunlight, you're looking for shadows, you're looking for darker backgrounds to create separation. You're looking for directional light, usually in shade, under open shade light. In an overcast day like this, you can walk out in the yard, you can walk anywhere and be like, hey, this looks nice. You do have to be careful with overcast, though, because overcast can create dark eye sockets and things like that if you're not careful, because depending on the direction of light from the softbox, if you will. But it just creates a really, really beautiful soft light, not only on your subject, but on the background and on the environment as well. Gives you a lot of material to work with.
Yeah. It's interesting because I did this workshop once where we were doing, it was a portraiture workshop, and we were talking about, part of it was about lighting and understanding lighting. And I was drawing on a lesson that I was given when I was in Air Force learning portraiture, or how to, lighting and the properties of light and all that. And part of the exercise was just to roam around. This was in Japan. It was to roam around Tokyo. We were downtown Shibuya, I think. And it was to roam around and without your camera and just look at the qualities of light and note the qualities of light, right? And it even went a little bit further to note the qualities of light from the standpoint of the shadow. Don't look at the light source, look at the shadows that they create, that light source is creating, and examine why it's like it is. Like in this shot that we're looking at right here, like you said, the whole sky is a softbox, which means the shadow definition on everything is soft. Like the shadows underneath his feet are very soft, have very gradual gradation. The shadow behind him even is very gradual, which means even small things, like we're looking at a big human here and sitting on top of a giant castle, but if you zoom into his face, even small things like little imperfections in his skin, indentations or raised areas, they have soft shadows, which makes smoother skin. So it goes from the extreme macro all the way up to the huge. So buildings will cast soft shadows, and pimples will cast very soft shadows, which smooths everything out, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I tend to look at studio lighting as an attempt to mimic nature. And, you always want to get like huge soft boxes and huge light sources and fill lights and reflectors to control and reduce shadows. And oftentimes that's because by nature, by the way that our brains work, like we go outside in this type of environment and we're like, oh, look at this. This is so beautiful today, or the sunset color or whatever. So soft light is just wonderful. And being able to see light and understand what it's doing and how you can manipulate it, regardless of your gear, regardless of the equipment that you have on hand, you'll be able to make better images, bar none, without question. Understanding light. Light is everything.
Yep, there you go.
Light is everything.
Light is everything. Cool.
And then just quickly to speak to this image before we switch is it feels like the sky is vignetted a little bit heavy. And so I just want to suggest to Eric, that if you're going to burn down something like that behind him, a little bit more subtly, because there's clearly a hot spot behind him, and then it falls off pretty dramatically into darker. And I don't think you really need to do that. A little bit more subtle would be nice.
Yeah. And definitely no sky replacement necessary on this, assuming that this sky wasn't replaced, right?
No, I checked.
How do you check? Is there like a...
You look at edges. The telltale sign of a sky replacement is always the edges. And like on his right elbow, there's a little bit of fuzz right above his right elbow from his jacket. And sky replacements are going to lose that. And most people that do sky replacements by hand are going to go, oh, I don't need that, right? They're just going to wash that out. And then there's the color from the sky that's falling on his shoulders. That's a cooler tone. Overcast colors are cool. That's natural. So there's a lot of things, but it's certainly looking at the edges where the sky meets the other objects.
Yeah. Yep. Interesting. That's interesting that's our knee-jerk reaction when we see a nice shot with a good sky, and it's like, is that sky real? So now we have to question everything. Everything has to be questioned. I've been
schooled on sky replacements, so I make an effort.
All right, cool. All right, moving right along here. Let's see. And the next shot is from Raphael, Mr. Timber Geek. All right, look at this. He says, joy and remembrance. 2 weeks ago, this sculpture on the Kent, Connecticut green became an impromptu memorial shot with his Nikon D7000. Love that camera.
Yeah, my first infrared camera was a D7000.
Oh, cool. Yeah. All right. Thoughts?
This is a really fun shot. I really like this. I unfortunately don't know the reference to the memorial that he's referring to. So for me, I don't get the connection. So it's hard. I obviously I can see the connection where I see this as a parent and a child playing, and there's happiness and joy in there, and I completely get that. I love the direction of light, the sculpture. I wish we didn't have the garage doors in the back left, but the subject matter is lit really well, and I really enjoy that. But unfortunately for me, I don't understand the reference.
The reference between what? What would you say if you were to just come at this cold? What would you say the subject of this shot is? Obviously, the big sculpture in the foreground, but looking at it with putting on your art hat. Like what's the art going on here, and what is the subject going on?
The subject is that sculpture, and I see it as a shot of the sculpture, thinking like, wow, this is just a really cool sculpture. It's shot from a standing perspective, which you could choose a better perspective. You could get down low, shoot up into the trees, isolate the the sculpture better. To me, it feels like there's more to this scene that maybe the photographer took that I don't understand in that space, especially with the caption.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So
what would you have done differently? Like if you're out here, you're shooting this shot, would you like just to like take a different take on this particular piece? Would you get in close and do like a detail study, like macro shots showing maybe just the hands and the feet, or just the faces, or what would you like if you were in front of this? What would you do?
The first thing I would do is I would change my perspective, meaning that as somebody who's 5'11", I never want to shoot most things from 5'11" because that's what everybody else sees. And if I just bring the camera up to my eye, that's the same thing everybody else would do. So I always want to change that, whether I shoot really high, try to isolate down to the grass. But for me, because of the worn grass around the sculpture, I would try to get down really low, put a little bit of grass in the foreground. That's going to hide that bare patch. Not bear as in the pun, because there's a bear sculpture in the background.
Yeah.
And then I would scoot my body a little bit to the left, and I would try to isolate. Well, maybe there's trees behind that building, but I would try to isolate as much as I can against the trees. So shoot really low, right at the ground, tilt the camera up a little bit, make this statue seem very big and powerful and dominating in its space.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because you could make this would look impressive from a low angle. Just like, wow, that thing is huge, humongous, even if it's not, right? It would be interesting. Or I have no idea of the scale of this shot to have a point of reference in there. Just something in the shot so that you can have a sense of scale. Timber Geek's in the chat. He says the sculpture doesn't normally have the lace collar. That's the memorial part for the notorious RBG. Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, and this is a really good sort of lesson for us to understand as photographers, is that oftentimes our experiences and what we know about the subject matter we're photographing may not translate immediately to your viewing subject, or it may not translate in history, right? Like over time, we may lose what that subject matter is. So that's always important for us to understand as we create those images. So that's very cool now that I know that.
Yeah, cool. All right, Timber Geek, aka Raphael, thank you for this. Much appreciated. And welcome. I'm glad you're in the community too, man. It's good to have you there. Next shot is from Nora Zanotinus. And Nora says, the dolphin turned and looked at me lying on the bowsprit netting. Is it bowsprit or bowsprit? Netting, watching the dolphins racing the boat and playing in the wake of the sailboat. With the dolphins within arm's length, they would turn on their side and look directly at her. For a future marine biologist, nothing could instill more joy. Yeah, I can imagine. Arm's length? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Look at that face. Look at that face.
I love that. Yeah. And that title is wonderful, even without the caption, even without completely understanding everything. I think that the caption is really wonderful. The image really just draws me in. I really love that. I wish it was cropped a little bit tighter. I think the vertical space, we don't need so much. So you could bring that down. And then a little bit of dodging in the face, right? Just learn how to bring out those eyes and the mask of the face a little bit in post can go a long way. But I just love that smile, and the eye contact is fantastic.
Yeah, and this shot too. I agree with that. That would have been my tidbit of feedback as well, is to bring that face out a little bit more, because the brightness values or luminance is competing with the bright sky in the upper right of the shot, and the highlights, obviously the sun is up and to the right, the highlights on her hair. And if you popped her face just a little bit, but you had to be careful with that on a shot like this, right? Because the jacket is dark, and you don't want it to look like you've been there. You don't want to leave tracks of like, oh, whoever processed this, brought her face out because she's smiling. You want it to look convincing, 100% convincing, like the light was just brighter on her face for some reason, which means you probably want to bring up the values on the jacket too, because whatever light is falling on her face is also going to fall on the front of that jacket. So you'd have to match all that cleanly.
Right. Right. And even just a little bit, and I do mean a little, a very, very, very subtle lift in the eyes and the highlight. You can see that there's a sort of a half moon highlight under the pupil. You could bring that up because our eyes tend to reflect more specular highlights than would, say, the light falling on your jacket. So even just bringing up that bit of the eyes would be enough to draw us into her face even more. So just little subtleties, aside from the beautiful expression and the eye contact, which also shows familiarity with the photographer, which I love that. If you can get that eye contact, that's great.
Yeah. And what a perfect smile too. That's fantastic. Yeah, that's definitely joy right there, 100%. All right, Nora, thank you. All right, next shot up is from Amy Brooks. Amy says, "Joy is Friday's member mixer with a basil lemon drop. I'm pandering to the crowd." Yes, you are. Yes, you are. I think that, yeah. Do I know how to make this? I don't even know how to make a lemon drop at home. You know how to mix real drinks at home, Troy? Or are you just a whiskey, two-finger whiskey guy?
Four-finger whiskey guy. No. I don't. I when I mix, it's very, very, very limited things. Like Kira loves gin, and I know that gin goes good with bubbly things and like mint and spearmint, scents and flavors. So I can go about that far, but that's about it. So I could not make something like this.
Yeah, same here. I'm gin and juice, or vodka and orange juice. That's the extent of my mixing skills. That's it. Anything else is outside the lines. I can't do it. I'm a one, maybe two finger, whiskey or bourbon guy. That's it.
Well, the way that I decide how much whiskey, whether it's a two finger or four finger, is how many different whiskeys I have to go through. So if I have many whiskeys, I pour smaller so I can have more whiskeys or scotches. If I only have one, then I pour more. So I don't have to get up.
So you could just bring the bottle to you, Troy, or just drink directly out of the bottle. Why not? You never have to move, You never have to move. Install a catheter and, get your bottle right there. You're good. You're good. Dr. Pepper and Fireball.
I love the shot. I really like this. Compositionally, I wish that it was the frame was rotated counterclockwise so that the top of the glass was moved clockwise. So we had a little bit more balance in that negative space. Yeah. I feel like a shot like this, just perfect symmetry somehow. Twisted is fine, turned is fine, but perfect symmetry right in the middle.
Yeah. And the vignette that she put on this, I think it actually works really well. Vignettes like this, especially when obviously we can tell that there's a vignette here, but it's not heavy-handed, and it also plays very nicely into the bokeh and the fall off of focus. So the bokeh and the vignette are working together to draw your attention up to the lemon drop, at the top. So I like that.
Oh, absolutely. And anytime you want to see where your eye is drawn to an image, just flip it upside down. You'll see exactly where the attention is, whether it's a highlight or a focus point or something like that. And this clearly, without even making an effort, our eyes fall right dead center of the drink, right? Right dead center. And then we explore the rim, and then we go in, we look at the outside, look at the table, boom, we know right where to look. And simplicity and focus, it's great.
Yeah. For sure. I love this. These are those shots that I do when I remember when we used to go to bars and stuff. This is an iPhone bar shot. You're like sitting there, okay, let me do a shot of this, click and boom.
Yep.
Love it.
Yep.
Love it.
This would be a great commercial shot if there was a little sprig of mint or something laying just off to the right in that negative space. That would be.
Oh yeah.
That would be amazing.
Some mint leaves or something over there. Yeah. Yeah, or lemon peels.
Yep. Yes, yeah, the curly lemon bits. Yeah.
Yeah, because the yellow would work well with that brown tabletop.
Ooh, I think Amy, you need to make more lemon drops, and you need to practice putting lemon twirls in there with some basil.
Yes, I want to see 6 or 7 different variations, and the lemon drop drinks have to all be different. And then I want to see a self-portrait when you're done. All right, very nice. Thank you, Amy. Next up is Michael Ryno. I think Michael's in the chat.
He is.
All right, Michael Ryno. The joy of welcoming a new sister into the family.
Nice.
Look at that. Yeah, Thomas Aaron was commenting on how much he liked this shot at the last member mixer.
Yeah,
this is really good. Yeah, it hits on a number of notes. This shot, the intimacy between mother and child. It's a maternity shoot. The woman is obviously beautiful, and with the strap of the dress kind of falling down on her arm, it has that appeal of sort of sex appeal, but not overtly. And then it works on it's a number of notes. I like it.
Yeah.
What would you what do you think of the shot? And if you were to do anything differently to it, what would that be?
I love the shot. I mean, maternity shots are tough. There's to be able to show off the belly, and then but not make it overtly so. Including kids and not doing the traditional cliche, oh, kiss the belly, and and so I always try to do something a little bit different. And I love the fact that this isn't pseudo traditional, right? Like it isn't the normal, oh, kiss the belly, look at mommy, like all those kind of things. And the kid's expression is just absolutely wonderful. So that's fantastic. For me, I know that there's an additional light that was added to this, and it's falling across mom's nose and mouth. And that kind of bothers me because it's really, really, really easy to see. And it's something that I would fix in post. Mm-hmm. I would burn it down,
and the shadow on the belly here, because I think the idea was to light the belly in this area, and then her face got caught in there as well. So you'd want to. Yeah. So what would you do different? You would fill it in this direction, or lose that light completely. Like, what would you do?
Well, I mean, as far as lighting goes, I think the lighting setup on the scene is great. It's just one of those moments where mom maybe turned her head a certain way, and then that's when the smile happened in her son. I'm assuming it's her son, and you can't undo that, right? Like the expression on the little boy is priceless, and you need to keep that. So I wouldn't necessarily change the lighting as much as I would edit the photo so that the highlight on her nose and her mouth weren't as dramatic.
Okay.
I would definitely push that down so that it didn't draw attention, because I keep looking at it. It's pops out. It's super obvious. It draws my attention.
Yeah, because it's a point of contrast in the image, right? So
right.
Would you do anything differently with the sky in the background, or keeping it flat gray? Was that fine for this one? Since we have superpowers to switch skies out, would you do that on this one?
I probably wouldn't change the sky much. I like it being a little darker. I mean, if you really want to push this super far and you want to just take it to, say, competition level, I would maybe throw a little texture in there with some clouds that have a little more texture. But the problem that I have, or the challenge I have with the sky right now, is that it's been overburned. And the burning to take the sky down is her left shoulder, camera right, is very dark, and it's not a natural dark. I'm thinking that it's because some burning in the sky has hit her shoulder. Now I don't know that for sure. She could be really, really, really tan, and no light has hit there. But I think the background has been burned down a little too much, and I really want to try to keep my background's looking as natural as possible. And when you try to burn down the background, you get really close to your subject, you get a halo. And those to me are just telltale signs that they've been burned too much.
Michael Ryno says the natural sun was coming in from the left, and there was a raised off-camera flash with modifier off to the right. So maybe draw down the light in those spots are a bit strong. Yeah.
Yeah, Michael, I think the lighting setup you did is fantastic. There's light on the child's face. It's scraping across the dress. It's creating wonderful, wonderful texture there. You know, it just so happened that she turned her head slightly left, just enough for her nose to catch that light. It's really, there's really nothing you can do. And to be honest, if this was a client image, I probably wouldn't do much with the light on her face, because the client's going to love it. They're only going to focus on the child and her tummy and stuff like that. But nitpickery, right, is may want to take that down.
Would you, speaking of nitpickery, let's resize that a little bit. Would you have added a little bit more space? I thought you were going to comment on how tight it is on the dress at the bottom of the shot and maybe at the top. Is that okay because the subjects are kind of in the right spot? Or would you zoom out a little bit to give it a little bit more breathing room?
I don't mind how tight it is. I do mind that it's not centered, though. There's more space on the right than there is on the left. And it looks like, Michael, you tried to balance it based on the tip of her dress. And, the left side, maybe like where the child's feet are. But really, the faces are what matters. That's the center line of the image. So that should be bumped over to the right. Don't worry about the dress coming closer to the edge. That's not where we center from. So I feel like this is favoring the left side of the image, right? There's too much negative space on the right. I would bump it to the right.
Yeah, it's kind of leaning a little bit. I mean, it's not leaning as in tilt, but the weight of the image is off to camera left, right?
And something else to consider when it comes to space around your photos. If you're going to print this and they're going to put it in a frame, you're going to lose half of that space on the bottom. Because one, when you print, you always lose a little bit of image because they trim it. And two, then you put it in a frame. Depending on the frame, you could lose up to 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch all the way around. So it's much better to give some breathing room and space in that image in case that if they ever frame it, and then the bottom might even be cut off, right? Like her dress may intersect the frame. So you got to think about that.
Yeah. Interesting. Good feedback.
Excellent image. I love it. And it's a lot more complex than it looks just at first glance. There's a lot going on. So Michael, you did a great job. Yeah,
for sure. For sure. Notwithstanding the photographer needing to get the pose and working with a child in the shot as well. And a pregnant lady on rocks, with a long dress on, getting her out there in the right position. So,
all the things.
There's
there's
things that people don't think about when they just look at the shot. Like, oh, yeah, nice shot. But yeah, pregnant lady on jagged rocks with a toddler kid, probably 6-7 years old out there.
Yeah.
Maybe 4 or 5.
When I shoot scenes like this, I tend to focus more on my subject and the lighting of my subject and not doing additional lighting because it gets too complex. And then there's too many opportunities for secondary lights not working correctly and stuff. So what I would do in this type of scenario is I would expose for the shadows of my subject, bring it way up, and then you only throw in an additional light, maybe from the back to sort of edge light them. So back off, maybe camera right, if there was a clock on the ground, say 2:00. And don't worry about lighting the foreground. Open up the shadows in the exposure, and then just focus on your subject.
Yeah.
Talk to them, mood. That way you're guaranteed good lighting every single time. Let the background overexpose if it needs to. It doesn't matter.
Cool. Awesome. Good comments. Yeah. Michael Ryno in the chat says, great points. Thank you for all the great suggestions. You're welcome, sir. Cool shot. Yes. Thanks for submitting the shot. All right. Next shot up is from Ernest. And Ernest says, the joy of playing in the fall leaves, all the best. Let's take a look at this. Let's see if
That's
it
great.
will come up. There you go. Yeah, these are fall leaves from Venus, I think.
Yeah, that's great.
They only go that color once every 30 years.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm wondering how he converted those leaf colors.
I was going to ask you that. I was thinking, like, based on like your Capture One quick start tutorial, targeting color ranges, it shouldn't have been that hard, right? You could just target the color ranges of the brown and green leaves and change them, right?
Yeah, and that's what it looks like you would do. And you would have to mask out the face, because chances are, if these are fall leaves, they're warm colors. There's warm colors in her face. Yep. So initially when you converted it, her face had to be purple too. So, and then you just go in and mask it out.
But
I love that.
What a cool concept, though.
Yeah, creative. Yeah, very creative. Very creative. I really like it.
What do you think about the composition? Like, he's got the face off to the upper right a little bit. Would you have done the same thing, or would you have put the face smack dab in the middle, or is that just a subjective call?
I think this image would work either way. You hear me say this a lot, but it's like it's favoring the right side of this image. It's heavy it's pushing to the right, and the top has more space. And I think that balance can either be dead center, but I also think that if you're going to put it on thirds, which I love, by the way, I love that extra space on the left and the bottom, but I think it should have more balance. So it feels too tight to the right. So add a little bit more space to the right, maybe the same as the top. Doesn't have to be, but it's definitely too tight to the right. But I love the composition. I think this is a really, really creative image, and I love the fact it's not dead center.
Yeah, and you made a valid point on the last image. If this was destined to be printed and framed, it's going to be even closer to the edge of the frame, right? In the final print. So you have to pay attention to that.
Right.
All right.
Yep, I love it. Yeah, I don't really see a whole lot else that I would add. I mean, there's a little bit of hair across her right eye, and maybe just a little retouching things on her forehead. There's a hair across her left eye as well. Maybe little things like that, but I love this. Yeah, this is very cool.
Yep. Very nice. All right, moving on. Thank you, Ernest. Very good. All right, brace yourselves. Coming up next is Peter Levchen. And Peter says, happy face, her name was Joy, and she was. All right, let's take a look. Wow. I'm guessing tobacco, maybe?
I don't know, and I don't think he says in there. I know from some of Peter's stories that the natives chew on these leaves or these roots or whatever, and maybe that's what she was doing. I don't know.
Do you know? I know. Well, I don't know. Do you know where this was taken? I know Peter travels all over the globe. What point on the globe was this captured?
I have no idea. Yeah, this is. I mean, I've seen this image of his before. I don't know where this would be.
All right, Peter, you're gonna have to let us know in the comments where did you grab the shot? Peter will probably say something like, "Oh yeah, this was in Mendocino, California." No,
I have no idea.
From a portraiture standpoint, what do you think? Lighting, composition. She's clearly, like, this is my thing, is very similar to your thing about chopping heads off and that kind of thing. He chopped the top of her head off, obviously, but it's intentional because clearly the subject of this is the character of the face and the mouth and all that. And he punched in to draw your attention in there. The top of the hat and the top of the head are supporting characters in the shot. And he off balanced it a little bit, so we see, all the way down to the top button there. I don't know. I like the composition. I'm curious as to what you think.
I really like the composition. I'm a little disconcerted by the button being cut off. I want space just below the button so we have the complete button. I'm okay with the forehead because it falls out of brightness, right? It gets darker. It feels like it's moving away, and I don't feel like we're losing so much. And this is not really a traditional portrait in the sense that, we're looking into the eyes and the mask of the face. This is really a portrait of her mouth, as weird as that sounds, right? And her smile. And that's the center of this image. And then that beaded headband for holding, or, that goes around her face that holds on her hat. Those are really the core subjects in this image, and that's what really draws us in. And I think that the dodging and burning and the crop accentuates all that. A traditional portrait crop would definitely be a little bit different, but that's not what we have. That's not how this was shot. And this was a wide angle lens, by the way. I don't know what he shot it with. Probably not a fisheye, but
it looks like a portrait lens. I mean, it's hard to tell because there's, it's really hard to tell because you don't know if he shot it with a certain lens and then cropped in this tight, or was it an 85, because it's hard to tell because the fall off is not really apparent. You can tell by the back of the hat a little bit that it's getting a little soft down there at the bottom. So maybe this was like a portrait lens or a zoom lens, like a 72.
I think it's a wide. That feels like a wider lens. I feel like the way that her face is pushed into the lens in the middle and then it rolls out. It feels exaggerated. I feel like it's a wide angle lens.
Okay.
So
all right.
I text him. We'll see if he responds.
See if he responds before we end the stream.
Yeah. Well, no, but no, it's great. And then the key line is really nice. I think this is an image that he probably used for image competition. So.
Yeah.
Oh, he's responding. Oh, look I'm getting the chat dots right now.
Uh-oh. All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's keep this up for a second. Let's see how fast Peter Levchen can type on a phone. So he just started.
Yeah. Oh, not fast. Yeah.
We're waiting. We're waiting, Peter. This is real time. How fast can Peter Levchen type a response to a text message?
Right. And I'm going to ask him where.
Can I play some music while we're waiting?
We need to get him in the stream. I don't know why he's not in the Twitch stream.
I know. We're still waiting.
I know.
All right, we'll play some music while we're waiting.
Oh my God, that freaked me out. I thought it was me. I thought I did that. I'm like, oh my God.
That was my waiting for Peter soundtrack. While we wait, let's watch
music just comes into my head.
Sorry about that.
Oh my gosh. My gosh.
That's pretty loud. That's pretty loud too. Let me play it again. Here we go. Okay.
Where'd that come from? What is that?
It's music. Have you heard of it?
No.
This is our Peter Levchen waiting on Peter to respond. Is he still typing?
Yeah, I'm not getting anything. I don't know. He may be done. I don't know. Maybe he typed and decided he doesn't want to type anymore. Anyway, if it comes through, I'll let you know.
All right. Moving right along to the next shot here. Thank you, Peter. Next shot and last shot is from Lamb. Lamb says, "My entry for
your music
joy
is still on, right?"
I know. I like it.
Okay. Oh wait, I got an answer from Peter.
Uh-oh. What did he say?
24 to 70 at 24 millimeters up close. That was Hainian island in China.
Okay, China.
She sells those beads.
Oh, there you go. All right, I guess I can stop the music now that Peter has responded. All right, next shot up is from Lamb. Lamb says, "My entry for the theme, joy, precious moments of joy money can't buy." Yeah. I want to be in that pool.
That is fun. I love how bright and airy it is, and the colors of the pool and the water and the splashing, and it's great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fun. That is a fun shot. This is definitely, I mean, it's hard to, like, the joy photos are, for the most part, the majority of them, or a lot of them, have been candids, right? So this is all candid photography, right, which doesn't necessarily need to be, high art, and it's perfect and the composition is and it's more about capturing the joy and capturing that particular moment, and kind of with a photojournalistic eye versus a meticulous attention to detail eye.
Right. Right. I could really see cropping in tighter with this image. I don't think we need as much space around it, because really the story is between those two and their facial expressions looking at each other, the touch, the splash, the floaties that they're on. We totally get that. And it's a lot of fun. Yeah, this is really great.
And if you punched in like you're saying, if you punched in like around this edge that I'm drawing right now, then it kind of changes the shot a little bit, because then you have the joy of the two children, but then in their faces, but then you also have the faces of the floaties in there,
right?
And it's emphasizing that there are four people or four characters in the shot versus two characters on floaties. One's chopped off. You just make it about the four faces in there. I think that'd be interesting. Right. Yeah. And then the other thing is, I'm looking up towards the top left up here. My brain is trying to figure out, hey, what's going on up there? What is that? Is that some sort of trellis, or is that water shooting out of those things?
Yeah.
So it's drawing me up there. But if we crop it off right there, then you keep my attention where it should be versus on that, the edge of the pool up there.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, cool. Thank you, Lamb. All right, it's that time again, Troy. Who is going to be the favorite? Who do you think?
Man.
It's like picking your favorite child. Is that what
I picked last week.
Oh, so it's my turn? It's my turn to pick? Oh, let's see. There's several favorites in here. I think, I think my favorite for Joy would have to be Michael Ryno's. Looking at all these, I like Peter's. I like them all, but like Peter's is great. Definitely Joyous. But looking at Michael Ryno's, let me bring up the screen here.
Yeah.
Looking at Michael Ryno's, this guy right here, of this lady and her son, that is like the epitome of joy right there.
Yeah.
Like the happiness there. I'd imagine the baby's probably in there smiling too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Get me out of here. It's dark.
Yeah, I totally agree. This one was tough. They're all tough, but this topic, there was a lot of amazing images, and they all express joy in different ways. But this one really, I think, everybody can really relate to. I think it's really strong. Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Cool. Excellent.
Perfect.
All right. Hey, Impoverish is in the chat. What's up, Impoverish?
Yep.
Said he got back into portraits after a 6-week break. Yeah, me too, actually, after more than that.
All right. I have a wedding on Friday. Gosh, hope I can do that.
Yeah, I know your last wedding was didn't you say that there weren't a lot of masks going on at that last wedding?
I was a guest. Yeah.
You were a guest there. You weren't shooting. Oh, okay. I thought you were shooting. Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. I was a guest at that one. The next one, I will be shooting. I will be photographing. So I will be hiding behind the camera.
This is your first wedding in a while, right?
Since February.
Oh, wow. From somebody that used to shoot 30 a week or something?
Yeah. I used to shoot. I used to have at least 2 to 3 shoots a week.
Wow.
Up until and then usually starting in March and April is when it would start, and then it would be busy all the way through November. So
that's craziness. Well, good. Well, good luck. Good luck. I have to send you a link to this mask. I just got this mask. This showed up yesterday, actually, or day before yesterday. So check this out. This is one of those, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but it's one of those newfangled masks. It's with the filters in it, obviously, but it has this band that goes around the back of your head here to keep it snug, as well as things that go over your ears to keep the top snug, and a nose thing to pinch to seal that. So yeah, I put it on. Feels a little claustrophobic, but claustrophobia versus being out of commission for 2 weeks at the least. I don't know.
I will tell you the mask challenge that I have when I'm working, and if anybody has any suggestions, I'd love to hear it. But a traditional cotton mask, if you sweat into it, then you can't breathe through it. right? Because the water just makes it super hard. And then I have these black disposable masks that work well because I can just throw them away. But I would love to have another solution that doesn't look terrible on a wedding day, right? Like I want it to look nice. I want it to be clean. I don't want it to be floppy and messy. But I need to be able to breathe through it.
Yeah.
And like those little vents that you have on there, those are exhale vents. Those are not inhale vents.
Right.
Those are for exhale. Yeah. So that doesn't help as much.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, I'll let you know how it goes, because apparently it somehow accomplishes both of those things. The inhale and the exhale. But we'll see. I'm going to take it out a little bit later today into the wild and see how it performs. The ones that I prefer, and we'll go back to the critique and end the show after this, but the ones that I prefer are I ordered 500 of the surgical masks. They're like the regular doctor surgical masks, but they're black, which is kind of awesome, So it's like a black mask and it's disposable. Use them a couple times, chuck it.
That's what I have, and that's what I've been using, and those are the best, because then if I want to, I can just peel it off, go take a break, go have a water and a snack or whatever, and then I just put on a new one, right? I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Or you can just do like some people, get one of those masks and then just cut a slit in the front for it to eat through, and you're good. You're done. Come on, problem solved. All right. Well, cool. Let's conclude this episode right here. Thank you all for joining us. We're going to continue to chat for a couple of minutes after this. So people in the chat, please hang around for a couple of minutes. But this here will be the end of our recording. Next week's topic is open. So that means dealer's choice. Go ahead and submit whatever you like, whatever you have in your library. You can harvest something from the past or shoot something brand new if you want. It could be a composite, could be conceptual, an abstract, or a portrait, or a landscape, or a macro, or whatever. So let's see what you do. You guys, it's open season on the critique for next week. All right, Troy, any tips for the folks to sort of get creative for next week?
Be intentional with your image, right? Like think about the crop, think about the color harmony, think about leading lines, think about all those aspects of the image, and usually simpler the better. And consider your audience, right? Frederick and I consider, because we're your audience. So you're really trying to put something in front of us that impresses us and gets our brains thinking and digesting. So, take all that in consideration. Pandering is okay. We'll put links in the chat where you can send us bribes. But no, just think about being intentional with the image.
Yeah, your bribe can just be active inside the community. That's it.
That's right. Yeah,
that's the bribe. But cool. All right, that's it. So next week, TWiP Pro Critique episode number 136 is open. Thanks everyone who submitted this week. Congratulations to Michael Ryno for being this week's favorite. And we'll see you all next week. Peace. This is TWiP.